This is the final segment of the essay, and after the essay I'm going to give some of my own commentary on the situation. Here is the gospel expressed in a poem by Augustus Toplady. Not the labors of my hands can fulfill the law's demands. Could my zeal no respite know? Could my tears forever flow? All for sin could not atone. Thou must save, and thou alone. 13. To return to Piper's various definitions of faith, quote, all these acts of the heart, the 11 conditions he has cited for receiving future grace, are overlapping realities with saving faith. Faith is not identical with any of them, nor they with faith, but elements of each are woven into what faith is. End quote. 252. Keep in mind that Romanism has only 7 theological virtues. Piper has outpoped the Papists. But the worst is yet to come. There are still more conditions required for obtaining future grace. Doing good deeds, not practicing the works of the flesh, and loving the brethren, to name 3. Now here's the catch. Unless Piper has provided a complete list of the conditions we must meet in order to fulfill the covenant and obtain our final salvation, the Piper plan of salvation is worthless. To be worth anything, a plan of salvation must be complete. But even with centuries to ponder the question, the Roman Church State did not come up with a complete list of conditions the sinner must meet to obtain final salvation. And so it invented purgatory, where all unfulfilled conditions for salvation may be met. The sinner may, and usually does, endure millions of years of torment in purgatory, but at long last the persevering sinner fulfills the conditions required for final salvation. Perhaps one of Pastor Piper's future publications will be Piper Proves Purgatory. Then we shall have a rediscovery of Romanist eschatology, as the neo-legalists continue to work out the implications of their false and anti-Christian premises. There are many more errors in future grace, but this discussion has disclosed some of the most important. The music is gay, it will lead you astray. Beware the Pied Piper. Now that we've finished reading this essay by Dr. John Robbins, I'd like to make some comments about this essay and Piper's book titled The Purifying Power of Living by Faith in Future Grace. The first thing I'd like to say is that you can read this essay in its entirety at the trinityfoundation.org website. Secondly, I'd like to say, as far as I know, John Piper has never addressed any of these criticisms that John Robbins has laid to his work, Future Grace. Followers of John Piper need to ask themselves why Piper has not answered these charges laid to his account by Dr. Robbins. If he is indeed a Calvinist, at least soteriologically, he needs to either, 1, retract the book and the heretical statements made in that book, Future Grace, or he needs to demonstrate to everybody how these statements harmonize with Calvinism. John Piper's claim that future grace is infused righteousness is the Roman Catholic idea of grace. It's their teaching on justification, not the Calvinist teaching. Calvinists believe that grace is an attribute of God, and it is not something that is infused. It is not a substance that is poured into the heart of the elect. So again, this is extremely serious for Piper to make the claim that future grace is infused righteousness. That is totally absurd. It is completely unbiblical. Some people have objected to pointing out these heretical remarks that Piper makes in Future Grace. They often claim that Piper has published recently books on justification by faith alone that teach the Calvinist doctrine. Let me just speak to why this doesn't help the situation at all. The Bible forbids us to teach heresy one day, especially publish it one day, and then later on teach the correct views another day. We are forbidden to do this. The Bible is consistent, and we must teach consistently as well. Anything we state from the Bible must be explicitly stated or logically deduced from Scripture. We are not allowed to contradict ourselves. If we publish heresy, then the proper thing to do, especially when it is pointed out to us, is to retract those published writings and then teach the correct doctrine. Now, John Piper has taught heresy here in this book, Future Grace. He needs to retract this heresy. If he does not retract this heresy, then the fact that this book is published is a testimony that he believes in it. The responsible thing to do would be to retract the book. We see in the past that Aurelius Augustine of Hippo, he made retractions. He made public retractions, and he taught correct doctrine. If Augustine can do it, then I think other people can do it when they have their mistakes pointed out to them. So I think all of the people who are big fans of Piper, they need to seriously consider this. They need to ask him, why haven't you retracted these statements? And if you don't believe you need to retract them, then you need to come out in writing and demonstrate just exactly how they are consistent with Calvinism.